Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 13th, presented by Mercury. Hey, we got a fill-in guest, Tracy Robinson, for Josh Herron this week on Logan Martin and Lay Lake. Of course, we got Tom Ott for Guntersville, and then the Captain Lee Pitts, the Crappie King of Weiss Lake, and also a Neely Henry stud is going to join us and tell us what's going on those two bodies of water. We will be right back with what the guys have to say. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 13th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to connect with the Crappie King of Weiss Lake, that man up there, Lee Pitts. Lee, you big, beautiful Crappie King, what's going on at Weiss Lake these days?
You know, with our crappie end of it, it's a little slow this time of year. We're still catching a few on some of the deeper docks in the bigger bays, but it's a short-lived little deal. It's if you can get there early and peck on them a little bit, when it gets 9:30, you can leave them alone. This week on Weiss, the bass fishing has not been great. You know, it's summertime, but catching some fish. Mostly the fish are shallow right now. Around the grass beds and some of the wood cover. It's especially up on the Coosa. If you get on up and come up river, some of these log jams and some of the stumps and things like that in that 3, 4, 5 foot of water, it's been holding some fish on it. So a lot of the guys, I think, are getting away from some of that boat traffic that's been downriver. Still got a lot of pleasure boaters, out there. So they're just trying to get out and find some of these fish that hadn't been hammered on as much as some of the other ones down lake.
So what is it, a flipping bite, topwater morning? Is that kind of what we're looking at?
Yeah, more of a flipping bite. It's more of just really pecking that wood to death, just putting it in there and just, like you said, just let it soak and hopefully they'll pick it up. A lot of spotted bass up there that are getting tight on that wood cover, but the largemouth bite has been real good too. A lot of guys have had to downsize, the big jig and some of these bigger baits, the fish are a little more finicky. So you've had to downsize Texas rig worm, speed crawls, some kind of little small creature bait.
Maybe even a little bit of a tube. Talk about Neely Henry right now. What's happening at Neely Henry that has got the anglers going?
It's, Neely's getting a little bit of a topwater bite. Mostly some of the guys that run way up and try to play that current, they're getting bit early. But a lot of the guys staying more downriver with Neely. Some of these guys are getting on some of these hard bottoms. In the mornings, you still get a little bit of a frog bite. You can flip a jig in there. But after that sun gets up, everybody's backing out, getting on these docks, pitching, like I said, just something a little smaller. And just get in there and don't get in a rush. Beat and bang, try to make every flip, make it count, and just put it in there and just get what bites you can get.
Yeah, I know there's a small crankbait bite too. Some of those fish that are getting that young, early season shad, a little bit of a small crankbait bite that's happening. Not a bunch of big fish, but my friend Art Newberian kind of told me a little bit about what's going on. Not a bunch of fish, just a few, but something to do. Lee, thank you very much. We appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week.
All right. Thanks, Dano. See you next week.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 13th, presented by Mercury. Hey, filling in for Josh Herron today is our pro staff for Tracy Robinson. Tracy, what's going on at Logan Martin and Lay Lake today?
Logan Martin and Lay, Coosa River chain. It's a little tough on the whole Coosa River chain right now. Dog days of summer, I guess you will, but I think there's some relief in sight. Right now, Logan, again, it's low current, so it makes it a little bit tough on the Coosa in general when there's no current, but you can still get bit right now on the seawalls and the main lake grass early in the morning with a buzz bait. That's still happening to some degree, but it ends pretty quick once that sun pops out and starts burning down pretty hard. But after that, there's about 3 options you've got, depending on kind of what you want to pick as your poison there. For me, I'm a little bit more of a flipper, so I tend to get around the boat docks and do a lot of the flipping in the shallow spots on the Coosa River, whether I'm at Weiss or Neely, Logan, or Lay. But that's what I like to do. But on the upriver end of the lake, I'd say from I-20 north, there's some fish to be caught, shaky heads and worms in those cuts up there when there's no current. And if they do run a little bit of current around lunchtime, those fish will kind of set up on those traditional eddies up there, and you can still get bit doing that. The lower end of the lake is super clear right now. So, it's gin clear on that lower end. So, more of that 12 to 18 foot structure and crankbait pattern on the lower end. Little Johns, 6XD, that kind of baits.
Okay, let's turn our attention to Lay Lake. What's happening at Lay?
At Lay, again, a little more grass at Lay, but that morning bite's pretty good with the buzz bait or the frog or the swim jig around that the grass on Lay right now. Midday, more of the standing timber and ledge type bite going on. I still like to use those same two crankbaits at Lay, that 6XD and that Little John's what works better for me. And then there's a lot of opportunities to punch. The bites are few and far between, but the punch and bite on Lay, whenever you do get a bite, it's been pretty good fish.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're frog bite, topwater, all that stuff's exciting, but there's not much better bite than putting that big weight in there and getting that fish to crack and then dragging them out of that grass. That's a bunch of fun.
I love it. That's my favorite bite.
That's a braided line bite for you, right? You don't downsize to fluorocarbon on the Coosa River?
I don't. I do downsize a little bit on the size of braid. I ought to jump down to about 50 pound on the Coosa River just because it's not that Guntersville mat. Guntersville, I'm 65.
Well, I know that hook sets are faster with 50 as well. I've talked to Greg Hackney about that a little bit, and he goes down to 50 a lot of times when he's fishing grass. Tracy, Thank you so much for everything. We appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 13th, presented by Mercury. Time for us to head on up to that Guntersville stud, Tom Ott, up there on that big old lake in the sky in our mountains. What's going on, Tom?
Well, it's not been real studly up this way for sure. No, I tell you what, Dano, it seems like fishing has gotten, it's gotten pretty tough. I spent a lot of time out there this past week, and I caught a lot of fish. I would say, upwards of 15 to 20 a day, but I caught a lot of 12-inch fish. I mean, just a tremendous number of schooling fish that are out there just everywhere you go, it seems like, especially if you're around grass. I had a real struggle bus time trying to catch some decent fish. I did pick up a few, in the 3 to 4 pound class, but, that doesn't make a sack, that's for sure. And most of those came out a little bit deeper. And when I say deeper, 10, 12 foot, caught them on a jig. But, I really like this time of the year. The fish are moving a lot. There's a whole lot of bait out there, tremendous amount of bait, really. But, I like to throw smaller baits and kind of try to figure things out. And really all I could catch were these little grunts. A lot of fun maybe, but, a little disappointed every time you pull up a fish and it's, almost as big as your bait, almost. But, and I will tell you too, I spent about 6 hours punching mats. In some areas that historically, catch a lot of fish. That was a struggle as well. Very difficult to even get a bite doing that. And I'm sure somewhere on the lake that bite's happening. Midsection, not so much.
So is it a current thing? Is there not enough current on the lake right now that's kind of positioning fish? Have they left the ledges, or what are you seeing?
There was quite a bit of current we had out there. Yeah, in the flat areas where I was fishing, there was just a whole lot of floating grass, just kind of holding things up. Out there on the deeper stuff, I was just seeing onesies and twosies. I've seen some reports. I've talked to some of my friends that have caught some really nice fish, mostly on the lower end. And won some money catching some bigger fish. That bite is evaded old Tom here. I just can't seem to locate a big group or a large enough group to call it a spot, I guess.
Well, it sounds like you might have to go to a drop shot, maybe a Nico rig or something like that, and find a little ledge for a better fish. But you may only catch a few at a time. Tom, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. Hey, those tactics are changing, so get ready. And tight lines out there, fellas.
Well, that'll do it for our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, August the 13th, presented by Mercury. Thanks to Tracy, Tom, and Lee for helping us put a few more fish in the boat on our favorite bodies of water. And again, don't forget, anything you need, whether it's kayaking, kayak equipment, tackle, parts, get your boat worked on, or looking for that new pontoon or bass boat, we got what you need right there at Bucks Island. Come and see us, and thank you for being the best part of Bucks Island. We'll talk to you again next week.